Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hi, John Deere girl. So, my boys went back to school today. Yay. After the hurricane, they finally were able to go back to school today. First time the house has been quiet for a while. um, and I actually got a lot of cleanup done around here and caught up on work because I haven't really slept that much. But anyways, I said I was going to try to do one of these videos once a week, but since I have some free time, I'm going to go ahead and just start putting them out there whenever I can. So today I'm going to start on the 7 different types of narcissism, and I'm going to start with the grandiose because it is the most classical textbook type of narcissism that there is. I have, over the last few days, just been taking in everything I can, reading everything that I see, and there is a lot of material out there about narcissist. Hi, Tennessee girl. There is an overwhelming amount of material out there about narcissism, and I have really fallen in love with this Dr. Ramani, who makes several videos, and she has interviews with other doctors and just so much study out there on narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths and stuff. And it's so interesting. I just find it it's just extremely interesting to me. So today we will start talking about the number 1 type of narcissist, and that is your classical textbook grandiose narcissist. Just about every type of narcissist that there is has traits from this grandiose type. Okay. So we're going to start out with what they are. Okay. How do you know that somebody could possibly be a grandiose narcissist? Now, I like how Dr. Ramani says that somehow, in some way, calling somebody a narcissist because you see a lot of the signs and things is bad. Like you're diagnosing someone and you're a horrible person for doing so. She said, however, how that came about, she does not know. But if someone is sweet to you and you call them sweet, there's nothing wrong with, you're not diagnosing them as being sweet. If somebody is an ass to you and you call them an ass, you're not diagnosing them with being an ass. A narcissist is something that you can see. Like there's signs there, there's traits there. It's usually pretty out there that person is a narcissist. And when you call them that, you're just pointing out what everyone can see. You're not necessarily diagnosing someone. So I find that because I've seen several people do that to others. Like someone is so blatantly a narcissist and someone will call them that and they'll get attacked by, who are you? You can't diagnose this person, And she said that actually that is wrong. Like we can. So anyways, I just wanted to get that off of my chest because in the studies that I've been doing the last few days, I've seen people doing that, attacking people for pointing out someone has narcissistic traits. So let's start with this grandiose. Hey, October, baby. Grandiose, classic textbook narcissist. How can we recognize them? All right. Well, they're charming. They're charismatic. They're cocky. And they're arrogant. They're overly confident. They're usually very attractive. And they're articulate. Hey, Gypsy Soul. They usually are always on the top of the world, okay, until something happens and they're not. So there's a lot there. You're going to see as we go through this, there is a lot of highs and lows. All right. And I mean, in life, we all go through highs and lows. But if you know someone in your life that everything is always a big deal, they're either at the top of their game, they're doing great, screw everybody, I'm doing amazing, or they're completely the opposite, everything sucks, I hate my life, everyone's against me, poor me, pity me, party. There's usually not a day that goes by where they're kind of just in between. Excuse me. So they also associate themselves with glamour, success, and a celebrity-like status. Now, a lot of your celebrities are definitely narcissistic, okay? Hey, Hope Forever, hey.com. And rightfully so. But usually the type of grandiose narcissists we're talking about here are people who haven't actually reached that type of success that they want in life. They may want to be a prominent lawyer or an amazing doctor, or they might want to be a celebrity of some kind, but it's not working out for them. It's not happening for them. So they bring on this grandiose behavior of kind of faking it until they make it. Hey, Snowflake, good morning. All right. So in that whole faking it till we make it type behavior that they have to try to find a way to surround themselves with successful people, a glamorous type life, and they elevate themselves all the time to fit in with the people they want to surround themselves around. Okay. And use. So this person will also show lots of entitlement, grandiosity, and they will nonchalantly demand support from you. Okay. Hope Forever said, we have one in our family. I call him Satan. He's my mother's son. Yeah. I talked a little yesterday about my stepdad, and he is a lot like every one of these types of narcissists, really. I mean, close to sociopath, but maybe not full on sociopath. And I mean, I'm also talking about like when he was younger and when I was growing up. Now that he's older and he's found Jesus and he's trying to change, he's not as bad as he used to be. So yeah, these types of narcissists will expect things out of people. And they might not come out and say like, you better support me because I'm important, but they'll find ways of saying that. They have a chronic need for validation. They have consistent admiration seeking. Okay, so they need to see that you accept them, that you're believing what they say, that you're following their every word, that you'll be there for them if they need you. All right, they want to hear how great they are, how beautiful or handsome that they are. What? He's my blood, but I don't accept it. He killed my dad, in my opinion. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm going to have to talk to you about that later on because that is crazy. You just threw me for a loop. And I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay, so All right, get back on track here. They have a chronic need for validation and consistent admiration seeking. Okay, so they want people to blow smoke up their butt all the time. Right, and they will do whatever it takes for that to happen, because deep down they're extremely insecure, unsatisfied with who they are in life. And if they didn't have people constantly telling them that they love them and they're important and they need them and they're happy with, just all the things that people say to puff them up, if they didn't have that, they would fall into a really deep depression, and that terrifies them. So they'll do anything, say anything to have to actually think about things and look inside themselves. Hey, Chaotic Beauty. Hey, it's me. So a lot of new people are coming in. We're talking about 7 types of narcissists. Hey, Mama's baby girl. And we're starting with the Grandiose classical textbook narcissist. Okay. Just about every type of narcissist has this Grandiose. All right. And we went over the fact that these people are charming, charismatic, cocky, arrogant, confident, usually attractive, and very articulate. Okay. These people are on top of the world all the time until they are not. Hey, just legs. They show signs of entitlement, grandiosity. They demand your support or else. They usually associate themselves with glamour, success, and they have a celebrity-like status that they portray to be. All right. They have a chronic need for validation and constant admiration seeking. They're usually very vain and superficial, and they rage pretty easy if they get disappointed or frustrated in you. They're hypersensitive in the face of any criticism, right? On a good day now, if everything seems to be going well for them and they feel like they're on top of their game, they will let criticism roll off their back. Okay. If they are surrounded by a support system, friends or family members or acquaintances that they've met, people who feed them a lot, and boost their egos for them, and then someone comes and criticizes them, they'll use that as, you see what this person is saying about me? You see what this person is doing to me? They're so awful because y'all all know that I'm great. And then they will hint to their support system, the people around them, to attack this person that criticized them. And they get pleasure from that because that's more validation to them. Okay. But they have difficulty managing stressors like disappointments. Okay. On a day that's not so great, or on a day that they're not feeling like they're getting all the support, you will start to see that I'm so wonderful, I'm the best, I'm a hero, I'm a savior, I'm all of these things start to just crash down to, I don't even know what the point of living is. I try and I try and I do and I do, and I'm always doing all of these great things, and it's one step forward and 2 steps back, and some will turn to alcohol, some will turn to drugs, Some will turn to being violent, and some will turn to suicidal type things. But mainly 90% of the time, they know that if they put on a really good show and they get enough pity, someone will come and save them and they'll be back on top again. Who's come in? Let's see. Constance. And I saw that, okay, Mama's baby girl said, I hate to ask, but can I ask for prayers? A random person messaged me out of the blue asking my kids and grandbaby and said some harsh things to me yesterday evening. Oh my goodness. Yes. Mama's baby girl, I keep you on my prayer list all the time and pray for you daily already, but I will definitely update it and be praying for you on that situation. And I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. So these types of narcissists love power, they love pleasure, and they love profit. The 3 P's, okay, is what their life is surrounded, what their goals are, what they surround their lives around. With they love to feel like they are a powerful person. And some of them, maybe they came from a more privileged home and they might have had parents who were also very narcissistic and were the my child can never do any wrong type parents that instilled this type of personality into them, but they go on in life being very successful, being doctors and lawyers and politicians, powerful type roles. But typically, the majority of them come from poverty. They never did have the attention that they needed. They envied a lot. So they were the type of child that looked around and saw that other kids in class were wearing designer clothes and they weren't. And so, the coveting, the envy got so strong that they developed this personality of, well, as soon as I can, I'm going to be just like them. I'm never going to be like this again, no matter what it takes. No matter who I have to step over, whatever I have to do, I'm going to prove to everyone that I am just as good, if not better than them. And that's where that all develops and they turn into these type of people. So they seek power. And if it's not so easy to obtain for them because they don't have all the money backing them up or, a privilege or something to help them, then that's where they get that whole I'll fake it till I make it type attitude. Now, they want all the pleasures in life, okay? Because that is another type of validation for them. So if they can go out and eat expensive meals, if they can drive a flashy car, if they can wear those name brand clothing and expensive jewelry, or go to trips to, fancy upscale places that majority of people can't afford, then that's all that validation that, well, I have made it. I am something. Everyone look at me. And so everything that they do all is profit, 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 because they need to keep those new clothes coming in, another new car eventually, going on that next, trip that they can throw in everyone's faces, things like that. So, but the thing is, is that a lot of them have a hard time keeping up with a plan that they have, or a project that they're doing, or a job that they have. And so their desire to be so powerful, and what's a good way to put it? Like, they become so obsessed and being this person that they want to be, hey, no fear, that they don't actually put the work in to be that person. Okay? So it's a fantasy life, a dream, but the actual work to become the person that they so badly want to be is never put in. And that's when they need everyone else to help them. And the charm comes in, and the charisma comes in, and everything that we talked about yesterday that sociopaths do, this type of narcissist does as well. Okay? So they will measure other people that they meet or are around by how successful that they are, how much money they have. When they meet that person, they want to know, like, what kind of house does this person live in? What kind of car do they drive? They will look them up and down. What kind of clothes are they wearing? Jewelry. What job do they have? And then this day and time, how many social media followers do they have? How many subscribers do they have? How does other people look at this person? Like, all of this stuff is very important to them. They size a person up and then decide if they want that person in their life, depending on that person's success, because they know that's going to reflect off of them. Okay? It doesn't mean that all of their friends or acquaintances are going to be that way, because they also need the little people, the vulnerable people, to, supply their every need. So those are the ones that we learned about yesterday, that the grandiose narcissist is going to manipulate and love bomb and make them feel super special to get their supply. But they don't care about them. They're just pawns in the game. The ones they care about are the successful people that they meet, because that's the people they think are going to move them up. And they will stick to those people like glue. Okay, so they are very slick, very manipulative, and very full of themselves. Now, they will help people for show. Okay, they love to put on a show about what a great, good-hearted person that they are. All right. But when they help people, rather it be with an organization, a fundraiser, some type of like event thing, or online, it will always be under a spotlight. Okay. They rarely are the type of people that are going to be, coming out of a restaurant and they see that somebody can't pay for their food, and they say, here's $20 for your bill. And it's left at that. There's no running back and telling everybody what they did. Real character. Hey, mama of two. Because there's no real character there. So everything that they do for someone has to be done under a spotlight. They want everybody to say, look at me, I am such a great person. I just helped so-and-so. But on top of that, they also really don't like to give their money away, because they need that for their grandiose lifestyle, and for their show that they put on. So usually these are the type of people who will be the spokesman for something. They will be part of the organization that gets up and talks and puts on, the event to raise money or things like that, but yet they will not be the one who actually donates anything of substance. All right, they could have $10,000 and they'll put 20 in just to say that they did, but they'll have everyone who's there all worked up and excited by their charm, by their charisma, by their eloquent way of speaking, to donate everything that they have. And then when it's over, they take all the credit. So they usually look like they're usually really nice looking. They're usually very kept. Clothes are clean, hair is done nicely, really good makeup, or for a guy it'd be like freshly shaven, and majority of the time that's the way that they're going to look. Okay, but when they fall, when they come across a hard time and they fall, they do not have a problem with showing themselves with messy hair and no makeup, or unshaven and unkempt looking, right? Because it's all part of that show. Look at me, I'm down. I need your sympathy. I need your pity. Save me, because I'm having a really difficult time right now. Not of my own doing, because it's never their fault. It's never their own doing. It's always somebody else. So they will say, their voices will change, their demeanor will change. Hey, Mama T. Hey, Sugar Pie, Honey Bun. We're talking about the Grandiose Narcissist today. It's the most textbook classical narcissist out there. And we went over a lot of the traits, a lot of ways to spot them, a lot of things that they do and don't do. Hey, Jen Mel South. So yeah, this all comes with the whole how they can be so high up or they can be down. All right, there's rarely ever an in between. It's either I'm on the top of my game right now, I'm doing this and that and this and that, and I'm just the most wonderful person that you'll ever meet because of all of the wonderful things that I'm doing. Or there's the complete low of my life totally sucks. I'm having a difficult time. I'm depressed, and they will play on people's emotions until someone comes through feeling so bad for them. Jamel South, majority of this is based off of being raised by one, my stepdad. And this is anti-bullying month. And in my opinion, he's the biggest bully that I've ever met in my entire life. And I've studied this stuff for a very, very long time because of it. And it's personal to me. It really is. So during this anti-bullying month, I want to, raise awareness on these types of people. Okay, so someone will come eventually, and they will be sucked in by the charm and the charisma and all the pathological lies that were told. And they will feel sorry for the person and think, but this person is just so amazing. They don't deserve this. Look at all the awesome things that they've done and the people that they've helped and, things that they're trying to do. I've got to be that person that saves them. And they will. And then in no time, the narcissist is right back up on their feet again. And they may praise that person a little bit, thank that person a little bit, but they'll quickly move on because they don't want too many people to know or linger for too long that somebody had to help them to get back up on their feet. They want to quickly make it that it's them again, that they did it somehow or another. You know, you can't keep a good man down for too long. And my dad used to say that all the time. That was one of his top phrases every time he would get back up on his feet after something. He'd say, you can't keep a good man down. And I knew as a child that he didn't do anything to get back up on his feet. You know, so-and-so helped him. He would have been down if he didn't have that conning, conniving, manipulative personality. Okay, so when a disappointment occurs, and a disappointment could be that something as simple as someone in their circle does better than them. Okay. Or maybe the person does nothing at all. They're just living their life, but they see that other people are praising that person, or other people are looking up to that person, and they feel like attention has been stolen off of them. Then all of a sudden you're an enemy to them. They could have known you their whole entire life. They could be a family member to them. It doesn't matter, because these types of narcissists don't ever have a true love or a real relationship with anybody anyways. So you're always a pawn. You're always someone who they can turn their back on and never look back and not think twice about it. And trust me, I can tell you that probably a dozen times throughout my life, I disappointed my dad in some sort of way. And he would just ghost me. No talking to me, no happy birthday, didn't come to 2 of my children's births. All because I did something that upset him. So this is how they are. You know, they can turn their back on you, snap of a finger, if you disappoint them or upset them. And half the time you don't even know what you do. Like I said, you're just going on and you're living your life, and all of a sudden this person is angry at you, mad at you, not answering your calls, not talking to you. And you're like, why? And then later on, you might figure it out. You might find out it could be nothing that you did. Just you guys went somewhere together and people paid you a little more attention than them. Something that simple. All right. Another thing that can highly disappoint them is when someone starts to figure them out. When people get sick of hearing their lies. When they get, caught in a lie and it really hurts them. It hurts you that you heard this person tell such a lie. And then you're like, all right, I don't want any part of this. I don't want to be around it anymore. I'm moving on. Okay. Or you confront them. Either way, when you turn away from them, when they know that you are no longer supporting what they are doing, what scheme that they're up to, what lie they have told, whatever it may be, that's when it gets scary. And we'll talk about that more here in a little bit. Another thing, of course, is when one of their projects fall through. They have a plan. They have something that they're working on, another scheme that they've built up. Because like we talked about yesterday, it's usually always some type of scheme. These people are always involved in like Ponzi schemes or selling fake things, or like I said, car salesmen, things like that. Hey, Audrey Miller. But they're poor planners, remember, because they are so like erratic, which I have. Let me pull it up. 3 top things that Dr. Kapowski says about grandiose narcissist is that they are overly confident about everything that they do. Okay. So when they come up with an idea and they have like this eureka moment and they think, cha-ching, this is going to get me somewhere. Instead of how a normal person would sit down, take some quiet time, pros and cons of their idea, look up what the costs are going to be, what all is going to have to be done, put time and effort into a plan that they have, a project that they have. They immediately think, well, because I thought of it, and because I'm so amazing, and because so many people love me, and I'm a smooth talker, then I can just go ahead full thrust into what my plan and project is, and it's going to be successful. All right. And so majority of the time, their things do fail because they didn't put that time and that effort and thinking into it and cross all their T's and dot all their I's, I'm going to stop for just a second and see what people are saying. One of my sisters is a super narcissistic bee. I'm actually being very mild when I say that. She's not a good person. And if it wasn't for my mother, she'd probably have no one. She drives people away. Wow. Well, Sugar Pie, I believe that is a whole nother type of narcissist than what we're talking about today. Because the one that we're talking about today usually don't drive people away. They suck people in. And out of every 100 people they suck in, maybe 5 people will go away. But you're talking more about a malignant narcissist. You might want to look that up, or if you want, you can just wait until we get to that one. That's what it sounds like your sister is. Audrey said she's been at the doctor and cannot get over this. Audrey, I prayed really hard for you last night, honey. I really hope you start feeling better soon. They won't let go until they won't want to let go. You can only hope they leave you, but when they leave, it is horrible too. We need a movement. Raise your children in a childhood they don't have to recover from. Yeah, amen to that. Majority of your mental disorders and along this line that we're talking about here all come from childhood traumas. They really, really do. And since, we're doing this in honor of Anti-Bullying Month, also remember that most bullying starts at home in some type of form. So, like I said, they're overconfident about everything that they are involved in. They distrust any expert or advice. They may ask for advice. They may seem to take your advice. Because remember we talked about the whole yesterday about the fake gratitude. So you come in to try to help and you say, well, I think that your plan will succeed or your project will succeed if you do this, this, and this because I have experience. They'll say, oh, okay, awesome. Thank you for giving me this information. This is great. I'll definitely use it. And the reason they're that way is because if you're trying to help them, then obviously you're supporting them and they want that support. But then they'll turn around and go off and not use any of the advice that you gave them. Okay? Because at the end of the day, they are going to go with that overconfidence that they have, that if I'm doing it, it's going to succeed because people love me. So don't really care what Joe Bob over here just told me, because everything that I touch turns to gold. All right. And number 3, they're highly impulsive. So if somebody could tell them something and they don't do the research on it, they don't, vet it, they just immediately run with it as truth, if somehow or some way it's going to bring them attention or benefit them. They're horrible about that. And then, of course, like we were just talking about, they get an idea for a project or a plan that they have or something, and they immediately run with it because they're impulsive, and they just do it without thinking it through and seeing how it could end up turning into a disaster. Or maybe they're not going to have the money that they need to follow through with it or something, or even the time to follow through with it. But they'll go ahead and they'll tell everyone that this is what they're doing. All right. And that this thing is going to happen for sure, positively. It's going to happen. And then 9 times out of 10, it won't. But yes, they're impulsive in just about everything that they do. And it gets them in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. All right, so they don't do well with disappointment. We went through that. They don't do well with breakups. Hey, Sarah Smiles. If it's their idea, of course, for a breakup to happen, then it's all fine and dandy. They're done with you. There's not much else they can see that they're going to get out of you. Or they're afraid that maybe they've pushed you a little too far and you're about to be a problem for them. So they dump you pretty quick. And then when that person is heartbroken and down, they will attack that person. Well, I had to dump this person because he or she is this or that or this or that. They really love to use that the person that they walk away from, whether it be a friendship or a relationship or a job or something, was mentally unstable, messed up in the head, right? This is the projection that they use. So it's their go-to thing as to why they are no longer friends with this person or in a relationship with this person. It's the other person is always mentally unstable. Okay. Or the other person is a liar. That's another one. Everything that they are, a liar, mentally unstable, a manipulator, will get projected onto the person that they decided to walk away from. And it kind of works the same way if the person breaks up with them or walks away from them. They go into a rage where when they walk away, they'll still say all those nasty things about that person. But they will be happy, of course. They will be like, whew, I'm so glad I got rid of that person. You guys, they were so mentally unstable. They were such a liar. They were such a manipulator, or they were so full of drama. They'll say all those things. And then they'll immediately, almost just days, maybe a week after the fact, be talking to somebody else, ready to go on another date, ready to find their next victim, and they do that because, for one, they need that validation that they still got it, that people want them. And for two, they really want to hurt that person that they just walked away from and broke up with. So if it's a friendship, when they walk away from that friend and they say all the horrible things about that friend, they will quickly have a new best friend or someone else in their life now that supplies the needs for them that other friend did. And they'll rub it in their face. If it's a relationship, then when they break up with that guy or girl, they say all the nasty things about them, and then they turn around and make sure that that person knows that they're already seeing somebody else or they're already talking to someone else. Okay? And that's the whole, you see what you lost? People love me. People want me. And this is another thing, guys, that my stepdad did all the time. My parents would fight and argue on a weekly basis. And there for a while, from like, let's see, probably the time I was like 12 until I was 16-ish, there was like 4 years there where it was really bad because my mom was waking up. She was starting to see right through him and catching him in a lot of his lies that, you know, her rose-colored glasses missed before. And she'd call him out when he told a lie or when he was being manipulative and stuff. She started getting ballsy enough, you know, to say, oh, you're just lying, or why are you doing this? You know, things like that. And he, what do you mean? You know, and she would tell him, and he just, oh, so offended, you know, and it got to the point where he became very violent. Now, he was violent my whole life, but during this 4 years of my life was probably the most violent that I had ever seen him. And he would beat up on my mom a lot. It didn't stop her because she was so disgusted with him. She was so sick of him at the time that, and my mom was young too. My mom had me when she was only 16 years old. And they were together by the time that she was 18. So my stepdad is my dad. Okay. He's the one who raised me my whole life. But he was 17 years older than her. And knowing what I know now as an adult, I really feel like he groomed her and raised her. But somehow, and I really believe a lot of it has to do with the prayers of me and my sisters as children, we wanted our mom to leave him. And we prayed about it all the time. We did not want to see him beating her up all the time, him name calling her all the time, him putting her down the way he did, and us too. So, you know, we would get down on our hands and knees and hold each other's hands and pray to the Lord to wake mom up, make her see what he is and get away from him. And she did. But like I said, it was around the time I was around 12 years old. And she got to the point where she was pretty much suicidal. If he was going to kill her, and this is how she felt, then so be it. Because he had made her believe that if she did leave him, or he got sick of her and left her, that she would never find anyone else, that she was worthless, she was ugly because she had gained weight after my youngest sister was born, that she had no skills. She was just a child when they met. You know, he knows everything about her, and he knows as an older man that nobody would want her. This is the things that he told her. And because she had spent, like I said, her a lot of years of her life with this man, and heard these things over and over and over again, he had her brainwashed where she believed a lot of what he said. And she was just completely manipulated by him. But somehow or another, I guess those prayers worked. People at work spoke with her, family members spoke with my mom, and somehow inside of her, she found strength that she didn't know that she had. Someone made her feel liberated, and she started to give it back to him and speak up to him. And she took a lot of abuse for it, a lot of beatings for it. But she was finally able to get away. And then when she did finally get away, and she went to our pastor and told all, which, our pastor was so shocked. Like, he couldn't believe it. He's like, no way. Because he's a bus driver for the church. He's a Sunday school helper. He cleans the church. He's so involved in everything, and he's there to help anybody who needs him. It was really hard at first for the pastor to believe that everything my mom was saying about my dad was true, because he puts on such a show, and he was so manipulative. He was this great Christian man. But my sisters and I came in, and we told the pastor too. Family members came in and told the pastor. And then at one point, my dad actually drove to where my mom was staying and beat her up pretty badly and pulled out a gigantic chunk of her hair out of her head and left a bald spot. And neighbors called, and they were both arrested. Yeah, my mom arrested too. But that's Florida for you. And then my pastor knew. He knew then that it was totally all true. My dad was nothing that he said that he was. And I totally went off track here. But now you guys understand why I want this out there. I want people to see that narcissism isn't something to play around with. It's not just, oh, this guy or this girl has some narcissistic traits, or they're a narcissist, but, we still really like them. No, these are dangerous people. Okay. So, I'll say too that once the dust had settled, my dad left state. And to this day, and it's been 15 years now since they've been divorced, since my mom left him, he still tells everyone my mom is a psycho, that my mom has mental illness, that my mom was suicidal, that she was crazy, that she cheated on him. He puts her down to everyone. But my mom went on to be Sunday school teacher, choir member, secretary of the church. She helps. And unlike my dad, who put on that show of all those things that he did for the church, but then he had his personal private life that he didn't allow anybody to be a part of. My mom's an open book. She's very transparent. She has people over to her house all the time. She does events, charity events to help people. She throws parties and invites people over. She loves to fellowship. Everyone knows my mom well on the outside and on the inside. So all of the things that he says about her just falls on deaf ears. because now people see him for who he is. And yes, Jim Elsoff, they are emotional vampires for sure. Right, Gypsy, they're dangerous when they're rejected. Very dangerous. Like we talked about yesterday, they are the number one bullies because they can do smear campaigns like no one else when you cross them. And my dad sure tried with my mom. All right, so as we know, they can become very rageful, and they do not take responsibility ever. And they project all the blame on someone else. Okay. Now, the reason why I said it like that, they do not take responsibility ever, is because even when they pretend to take responsibility, there's still a whole lot of but around that. Okay. So they may say, I made a mistake, guys. I messed up, y'all. But it's because of this and this and this and this. And they will place blame elsewhere, and they will project onto other people. And every mistake that they ever make, every accident, every failure is because of someone else. Okay? So what makes these types of narcissists so attractive then? Why do they draw so many people in? All right. Well, it's the 4 C's. Okay. Their charm, their charisma, their confidence, and their cleverness. All right. My dad was one of the most charming people that you would ever meet. Okay. He did that love bombing thing all the time. I mean, I watched him just draw and suck people in. And I loved that about him. Okay. And all of you guys who know me well off of YouTube, or maybe you just see me in other people's chats on YouTube and stuff, you'll hear me say, you know, Gypsy, you're beautiful. All right. Jen Melsoff, you're lovely. Sarah Smiles, you crack me up, you know, you're awesome. When I say those things to you guys, I mean them. I really do. Okay. When I say I love you all, I've said this before on here. I do love you all. Right? It might not be the same type of love that I have for people that I personally know in my life, but because, you know, I'm saved by Christ and I follow his word, the Lord tells me to have a love for everyone, even my enemies. So when I tell you guys I love you in that sort of way. If you need me, I'm there. If you need prayers, I'm there. Love you too, Chaotic. It's not fake, okay? It's completely genuine. When I'm not on here, I'm thinking about you guys and other people in my life. I have the prayer list on my phone that I go over every night, praying for you guys. But there was a time in my life where I had to realize that my dad was not doing it in that sort of way. He was doing it to charm and manipulate. And it was heartbreaking as a child when I realized that he was such a fake. And I used to watch and observe him do it. And it disgusted me. So I told myself, you know, that when I get older, well, it started right then. But when you're a kid, everything is when you get older, So I told myself when I was a child that when I get older, I'm going to love people for real. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get emotional, but I told you this is very personal to me. So I've heard people say on here that I am a fake about things and that I'm overly nice to people and it's all fake and everything. I'm putting on such a show. Whatever, people have the right to believe what they want to believe. But I am the way that I am because I promised myself that I would never be like my father. All right. So next, they are full of charisma. All right. And everybody loves charisma. A dancer wouldn't be a good dancer without charisma. An actress or actor wouldn't be good without charisma. A preacher, a pastor would be boring without charisma. All right. We are all attracted to charisma. And so a narcissist will practice it. Even kind of behind closed doors in front of a mirror, they will practice being charming. They love to look at themselves. Thank you, Sugar Pie Honey Bun. It's, the strong personality draws people in, Gypsy. You're right. It really does. Okay. And then that fake confidence. All right. That they all have taught themselves to have. This is where you will see, mainly in men more than the women narcissist, men will have a strong and deeper authority type voice. All right. My dad did this all the time. He would try to impress somebody that he runs into and meets, and he has no idea about the subject that person is talking about or the job that they do or anything, but he will surely talk a good talk and come up with things and say enough to convince that person that he does have all this knowledge. Okay. And when he's doing this, it was just so easy to tell. Like I said, even as a child, because his voice would just change. All of a sudden, he's talking like this. His my dad has this country accent twang. Okay, because he lived a lot in Georgia, he lived a lot in Alabama, and he lived a lot in Florida. But he has this hillbilly hick-top twang. I used to have it really bad too, but people that I worked with over the years have actually kind of helped me to not sound like that, because apparently in today's world and, in the job that I work anyways, people kept telling me all the time that because of my accent, I sounded unprofessional. Like that's my fault or something. But being young and impressionable, I believed it and did my best to try to get rid of my country accent and twang. But I love listening to it because that's how my whole family talks. And the older people in my family, like my grandparents and stuff who are no longer with me, had the country accent the strongest. And I miss it. I miss hearing my grandma sing. But anyways, my dad had this really strong twang. But when he was talking to someone that he thought was powerful, or successful or really professional, you know, he could lose it so fast. And then he'd deepen that voice and he'd speak in such confidence and look him straight in the eye. You know, his body would kind of tense up and everything as he's getting his point across and asserting his authority. And then when he knew he kind of had that person, that stuff would kind of change and his body would go to more sing along with what he was saying, you know, and the charisma would start to come out at that point. And he'd cut a few jokes to make the person laugh and kind of lighten the mood of, I just dominated you, but no, I'm cool. You know, I'm cool. I'm a funny guy. It was just amazing watching it. All right. And then cleverness. And they might not have a lot of education. Okay. They might not, you know, have degrees and things and this and that. They might not have proper raising. I mean, my dad was from a very poor family. Okay. They were hillbillies. They didn't have much. He didn't have but an elementary school education. He could barely read or write. I said this yesterday. But he had that charm, and he had that charisma, and he had that fake confidence. And he knew how to manipulate, and he could lie. And you have to be pretty clever to pull that off your whole life and sucker people out of money. And one thing I will give to the man is he would go after things. And this is probably due to that impulsiveness and overconfidence that we talked about. But it worked for him a lot of the times. But I've seen, you know, where we had fallen hard times. And my dad was out looking for work, you know, looking for side jobs because he never, ever held a full-time steady job my entire life. Because I'm telling you guys, he was that sociopath I talked about yesterday. So he couldn't. No man was going to tell him what to do all the time. Okay. He was not going to have a boss. He was going to be his own boss. You know, he was just, that's how he was. Nobody was going to run him. So he never ever had a stable job, a full-time job. And he relied on my mother. My mom worked 14 to 16-hour days my entire life. I didn't get to have a great relationship with my mom growing up because I rarely saw her. She worked her butt off. He did not. Okay. He did become a professional in some things. He did. Things that he really cared about and he really loved. He did pour his all into those things. But I've seen at times where we would come across a really hard, difficult time. Power bill was about to get shut off, something like that, you know. And he would go around asking, does anybody have some side work that he can do? And of course, he wouldn't come at it as the truth. You know, man, we've really fallen hard times. My wife's working all the time. I haven't been doing anything, but, you know, now our lecture's about to get shut off, so I'm willing to do whatever job you got me to do. No way would he come off being that way. Instead, you know, he would tell lies, and he'd say that my mom's not getting enough hours in or whatever. You know, he had this thing happen and this thing happen, and it ended up draining him of what savings he had. So now we're on hard times, and, you know, he needs to make a quick buck, and he'll be so appreciative of whatever's given to him, you know. And I've seen him take jobs on that he had no skill in whatsoever, had never done in his life. But because he wanted to impress the friend who gave him the job or whatever, he put his all into it and he'd do a great job. Hey, Leanne. So there are, some good things and stuff that does come out of these types of narcissists. You can't underestimate them, that's for sure. But that's also another thing that makes them so intriguing. I've went over longer than I wanted to, so let me stop story time and finish telling you guys. All right, so they suck you in and make you feel like you are important. Their energy becomes your energy. When they are high, they make you feel high. When they are low, they make you feel low. You end up riding the same exciting roller coaster with this person when you're dating them, when you're becoming a friend with them, when you work with them, and just anytime you have one of these type of people in your circles. They make their life part of your life. All right? Some way or another, they will. And because of that charm, that charisma, and that confidence, and that cleverness, and that manipulation, and all the lies, and the excitement that they put off, and then those highs and lows, they draw you in like a soap opera. Okay? But instead of a soap opera or a movie, or something like that, or a book that you're reading that's all drama, this becomes real life for you. So you're playing the part right along with them. So you may realize that they talk about themselves a lot, and that they tell a lot of stories, and you may even catch them in their lies. All right. But you might even realize that the person is a narcissist. Okay. But their stories are so interesting. They're so lavish and stuff that they pull you in. Okay. You like that exciting, important feeling that you get from being around them or associated with them. They make you feel like you have a purpose. All right. Just being around them or part of what they're doing makes you feel special. It's like being in a cool club. And at times we all crave a little drama. We all crave a little excitement. No one can say that they 100% absolutely hate drama, because then you would never watch television, you'd never read books, you'd never watch movies, blah, 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 listen to dramatic music. We all have a part of us that craves a little drama. We all want a little bit of excitement here and there, little suspense here and there, right? We love entertainment. It's in our nature. We all love entertainment. A narcissist, a grandiose narcissist, makes us feel all of those things that we get from music, movies, television shows, books, social media, and that we're a part of it. Okay. Like I said, it makes you feel like you're part of a movie that they're making. It makes you feel like you're part of this really cool club that you're in. All right. And you don't even realize, because you get so caught up in it. Like we all get caught up in a television series or caught up in novels that we read. You get so caught up in it that you don't realize how it is affecting you. And that's why when they're high, you're high. When they're low, you're low. All right. You ride that ride with them. The thing is, they don't have the same type of empathy that you have. They don't have the same type of feelings that you have. And nothing is really real to them. Even though they'll tell you that it is, they'll actually go way out of their way to tell you that it is. It's not. But to you, a normal person, you have empathy, you have feelings, you have emotions. Being lied to hurts. Being used hurts. So that emotional trip that a narcissist puts you through affects you 100 times more than it affects them. It's unhealthy. All right. Another thing you'll notice about them is that they get bored easy. They don't have a lot of time for you. You could be having a conversation with them and they'll talk about themselves. They'll tell all their stories. And when it comes your turn, they zone out. They start looking on their phone. They start looking around. Or maybe they'll even try to change the topic back onto them and away from you again. If you bring it up and you say something like, oh, well, I just listened to you talk for 30 minutes. Give me 15, they'll say, oh, I'm sorry. The most classic excuse that narcissists used is, I'm ADHD. I'm all over the place, guys. I'm ADHD. I'm so sorry. But you know that it's bull because they were able to sit there and talk 30 minutes, an hour, straight up, uninterrupted about themselves, but don't have any time for you. All right. A very important thing that I cannot stress enough with narcissists, okay, is you cannot confuse their grandiosity with having a good heart. They want to make you believe that they are so generous, all right, and that they will do anything you ask. They will be there for you. Thank you, Leanne. But it's all fake. Like I said earlier, these are the type of people who will put on a charity event. They will, have some type of organization thing to come together to do great things for people, but it's all for show. It's all for spotlight. And when it's over and said and done with, they actually didn't give that much. Okay. They had everyone do everything for them. And then they take the spotlight. And I know some people will say, well, they put the work in, they organized the event, they put on the fundraiser. If it wasn't for this person, it would have never happened. So it really doesn't matter if they didn't give much money themselves or whatever. It's because of the time that they put into it. But you guys, they know that. They know that's what you're going to say and think. Every good deed that is done for praise, worship, glorification, kiss my butt. Okay? Once you realize that, then you start to see through the person. And I'll tell you, I have seen friends call my dad, longtime friends, and say, just for example, this tree fell on my house during the storm. Can you come and help me? My dad has nothing going on. Nothing. Okay? Because like I said, he barely kept a job. And he'd say, oh man, I'd love to, buddy, but I am so busy right now. I got this and this and this going on. Complete total lies. And he'd say, I really would if I could. But you know what? I might know somebody who can. Let me call him for you. And he'll call and he'll find somebody who will do it. And then he's the savior of the day because he found somebody to help his buddy. But he wasn't getting off his butt to do it. However, someone who, like our pastor or a friend of his dad's, a friend of my grandpa's, because, my dad worshipped his father. Somebody of some importance to him could call and say, a tree fell on my house. Can I help you? And my dad would be right over there to help that important person. All right. And he would do it. And then leave that place and tell everybody in town and everybody in family and everyone we came across that he just helped that important person. That important person needed him, and he was the only man for the job, and he got it done, and he was the absolute best at it. Y'all all know that I did it now. That's why I say be careful. Don't confuse their good deeds for a great heart, because it's all self-serving. It's all self-serving. They do nothing behind closed doors. They have no true character. When you help somebody, you help that person in silence for the most part. Now, I know here on YouTube, sometimes we have no choice, but like when I did the auction for Jimbo, or we sold things for Gypsy and Kenny, things like that, it's a little different. But generally, when we help people out, money-wise or something like that, we don't tell the world. We don't put on a show. That's not the way it works. All right? That's humiliating for the person that needed the help. Right? I don't know how many times that I heard people say that they wish they never even asked my dad for help, because he made them feel horrible about it by running around and telling everybody their business and, putting on that savior type personality. But that's what they do. All right. A real person is humble, right? They don't need to talk about themselves all the time. They don't need chronic self-promoting all the time. They don't have to come up with a new story every day or every week about the next big thing that they got going on in their life, or the person they just helped, the person that they just saved. Pat me on my back. I'm so great. They don't. They're confident, for real, in themselves. They're self-assured. They're secure. And they just do what they do. That's a real humble person. So when you figure out that a person is like this, okay, that they are grandiose narcissist or a sociopath like we talked about yesterday, why do people stay? We just discussed how dangerous they can be, how they can turn on you on a drop of a dime, how they can go from you're the best person in their life that does so much stuff for them, they can't live without you, to you suck, you have mental illness, you're a mess. Everybody pray for this person because they are completely messed up. They can turn so quickly. And we know that they lie. We know they can't really be trusted. We know they're really never there for us when we need them. Things like that. So why do we stay? Number one thing, statistics show that people who are in narcissistic relationships or friendships or have family members, the number one reason why people stay around is hope. Hope. They've known this person for a very long time. They've heard so many of their stories. They don't know what's true. They don't know what's not. And like we said earlier, majority of the people become this way because they have some kind of trauma. Something did happen bad in their lives, usually poverty or abusive parents or bullying as a child, that caused them to be this way. So our hearts go out to them. We sympathize with them. And they are really, really good at reminding you that they've been traumatized whenever you start to slip away. Reminding you that people have hurt them. All right. A friend turned their back on them. Someone cheated on them. Whatever it is that they have to say to make you come right back to them and feel sorry for them. All right. They love playing on emotions. So you have a hope. If I just love this person a little bit more, if I support them a little harder, if I fight their battles for them, if I prove myself to them, maybe it'll change them. Maybe if they feel real love, they'll change. Maybe if they see that I'm someone they can really trust, they'll change. They're not going to change. Okay? The secular world, all right, outside of religion, Christianity, things like that, will tell you a narcissist can never change. They will always be that way. And one reason why is because they will never admit it. Never. They're not going to go willingly and see a therapist. Why? Because at first they're going to try to manipulate the therapist, psychiatrist, whatever. They're going to try to manipulate. And then when they see that right through them, and they know what they're doing because they deal with this all the time, and they force the person to be real, their ugly starts getting exposed. That inner hate, that inner insecurity, that depression that they feel, all that vulnerability terrifies them. They refuse to face it. It is a lockdown mechanism type thing, and they will hightail it out of there and never go back. Because although they put off that they are so strong, they're big, they're bad, they're tough, they're so smart, in reality, they're cowards. They are terrified with dealing with basic human emotion that we all deal with. Okay? A lot of us have trauma. A lot of us do. Everybody finds a way to supplement it. Whether it be bad things like alcoholism, drug use, okay? Addictions of all sorts, sleeping around, food. I mean, we can sit here and name so many things that people do to supplement themselves and take down their anxiety, their stress, help them not to think so much, not to have to face those traumas. And then there's the people who literally have physical issues, like my husband, who has uncontrolled seizures, pseudo seizures, PNES seizures, because of the traumas that he faced the first 16 years of his life. If he's triggered some way, somehow, he goes into a seizure. And that is his body's way of blocking out all of it, exhausting him. And then when he comes out of the seizure, he's disoriented and he just wants to sleep. By the time he wakes up, it's all over and said and done with. Trauma diverted. Okay. A narcissist decides to just pretend it never existed. They'll talk about it so often. They do the complete opposite, okay? Instead of those who just don't want to talk about their trauma, they want to just cover it up, find a way to not have to think about it. A narcissist will do the whole opposite, where they express it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it so much, okay, that it no longer, they think, has any power over them anymore. It's just another one of their stories now. They can't even remember at this point in time if it's even real or not. Because like we talked about yesterday, they lie so much that they instill false memories into their heads, and eventually they don't know themselves what's true and what's not true anymore. Okay, so now they turn any trauma that they went through into their life into a tool to use to manipulate. And it no longer really affects them anymore when they talk about an abuse that they went through or a bad situation in their life. It really don't, but they will sure pretend that it does. They will put on a big show, fake tears, shaky voice, I can't breathe, just whatever the show takes to suck you in and get you to pity them, to feel bad for them, and send money. Because like we learned about earlier, it's all about profit. All right. Outside of hope, we stay because we think they're going to change. The second reason why we stay, I saw Gypsy said it, fear. Because we know how scary they can be. When you meet one in real life, you're usually abused. Physically, mentally, emotionally, verbally abused. And it's scary. They will get to know your friends. They will get to know your family. They will get to know your coworkers. And they will put on this show about what an amazing person you are. You know the truth. You try to get away. They go back to those friends, family, coworkers that they've already manipulated and got underneath their spell. And they say things like, you have no idea who your coworker, your friend is, your family member is. You guys think you do, but she, he is this, and the other. And they will try to destroy everything that you have. So when you're in a relationship with them, or you were in a friendship with them, or whatever, however you got caught up with one of these people, you live in fear once you figure them out of getting away from them, because you know what they can do to you. They are the biggest bullies. All right. Now, when you come across one here online or on social media or something that you get involved in, they might not personally be in your life and know you, but that smear campaign on here is so easy to do. And you know that not only are they going to smear you to their entire audience of people or followers or subs or however, but all of the people who are still under their spell are going to smear you as well. Because a grandiose narcissist or a sociopath makes sure that they always have an army, a group of warriors, a group of supporters that they have so well manipulated and emotionally damaged or made to believe all of their lives that they will go and they will fight at any time. My dad had so many of these warriors, okay? When somebody, like the tournaments that he used to be a part of and things like that, would talk crap about him, the way he would handle it, okay, is he would not go face to face with that person for the most part. I'm not saying he never did. My dad did get into fights. He did whoop butt at times. He was a big guy. He was very muscular, very tough, worked out a lot. And I've seen him whoop butt. He didn't back down very often. But he always did his best to not have it come to that. Unless it came to him, he wasn't going to be the one to start the fight. You see what I'm saying? If it came to him, then yeah, he's going to fight. Instead, he was the one who would go behind that person's back that stood up to him or talked crap to him and talk crap about them, okay? And have all of his buddies who believed that he was all these things that he said that he was, do his fighting for him. You know, like you would see an evil villain do on a movie, you know, where they're approached by, you know, the superhero or something like that for their evil ways, you know, and they're all like, you're going to go down for this. You just watch. You're going down for what you just did to me. Evil minions, get them. And he walks off. Evil smile, evil laugh. You know, that's what they do. All right, last thing that they use against you is guilt. All right? Because they have told you so many stories about their history, about their past, so many lies, you don't know what to believe anymore. This falls into the hope thing. Then you start to feel guilty for leaving them. Will they hurt themselves if I walk away? Will they hurt others if I get away from this person? Will they be able to cope without me? I mean, after all, they told me that they need me so much. They made me feel so wanted and needed and important. How can they handle it without me? They really play on your guilt. And that's why a lot of people won't walk away from them. So hope, fear, and guilt keeps you sucked in. All right, guys, I went way over what I expected to go over. I'm thinking somebody else in the community's probably went live by now because we lost a lot of people that were watching. So I'm sorry for overstepping on their toes. I did not plan to go this long. I'll try to keep the next one a lot shorter and get, straight to the point so we can discuss it more afterwards and have more time to talk with each other. But I thank you all for coming in and listening. For ones who left and, didn't get to see the rest of it, I hope they come back and finish watching it. But thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you have a great Tuesday. You guys can always email me at aliciaturner81@gmail.com if you want to further talk about these topics. All right, I'll see you on the YouTube streets. Love you all.